mean, looking at today's process, you have hardly any transparency on cross-border payments. So that is, in case you send money cross-border, it takes days it can take days that you finally sort of get acknowledgement from the recipient party. With GPI, this will completely change, because you will then have, at least within a day, maybe even within 30 minutes, complete transparency on all the flows. You don't have to reach out, because this is all basically visible in your own system, because you have a standardized message exchange with all parties involved, and that will help you to track these payments. It was a tremendous experience for the last 12 months. I think SWIFT played a key role in basically aligning bank interests and corporate interests, and basically drive with tough deadlines. So this was interesting to see how banks competed in this. And there was, of course, a natural interest from corporates to participate, but to see how banks, the large multinational banks, basically now drive this innovation and sort of pull other banks with them. So this is nice to see, but still, as I said, I think SWIFT was the key enabler for GPI becoming reality. We have these regular physical meetings, so you basically have constantly the SWIFT, the bank and the corporate view in the room. You can discuss, you can jointly, with everyone having the same interest to get this going, then you can basically bring all the arguments in, and then you can shape a solution that doesn't only fit for banks or corporates, but fits for everything. And basically with SWIFT as the combining body, that they basically coordinate then the next step. So I think this was a good learning to have. I mean, this without having this physical meetings every 3 months, I think we wouldn't be where we are today. Forward going, there will also be benefits for the beneficiaries. They will sort of get pre-advices of payments that are in the pipeline, which they don't see today. There might be additional remittance information. The journey just started, so there is a lot to come through GPI, and also the beneficiaries will benefit from this.
Well, the main value for GPI for corporates is certainly transparency, traceability, and speed as well. So today, when we send cross-border payments, we see that, okay, it's getting black, we send it to a black box, and as a corporate, you don't know what is happening. And that's a bit strange in today's environment of technology, digitalization. Where are we? So now we will be able actually to trace our payment and to know exactly where it is. So it will be visible as well, I would say. And certainly the speed will be there as well, because today it can take a certain time, but now the aim is that very fast, we have very fast payments. Let's say within 30 minutes we know exactly actually from the beginning till the end, actually we have a full traceability and a full track of the payment, which is very important for corporate, but as well for the people who are working with it in a back office, let's say, environment. Treasury applications vendors should integrate GPI certainly from the beginning, because it's very important. That is a system which the corporates are using, and the UTR number is given from the source, which meaning their system actually. There will be a high demand from the corporates to have that from the beginning on board. So it makes sense for them to really if they want to be a leader, to be on the edge, and immediately, I would say, to integrate that and to provide that to the corporates, that they can work with I would say, with the GPI tracking system from the beginning. Tracking capabilities will be a game mover for corporates, because we will see actually that today it's like with sending a package through another, I would say, through one of the main providers, where you can follow and track where your package is. This will be the same for your payment. Actually, it's a bit like a GPS, and today that is really not seen in the market. So it's really something really brand new, and corporates can have a very big benefit knowing exactly what is going on, and that can be for a small payment to really big payment.
From GE's perspective, the biggest value is going to be the transparency to the transaction lifecycle, as well as the defined SLAs around GPI. So for GE, we have teams of people that are actually looking into payment statuses, working with banks to track payments. So I think it's going to help reduce the number of exception handling that's actually out there with the banks. And it'll also help with optimizing our liquidity, because we'll know exactly how long it takes within those defined SLAs from a payment to get from point A to point B. I think banks should join GPI and offer it to their customers, because it will increase the number of correspondent banks that are actually signed up. So it's going to provide more data and more feedback to the community as a whole. Additionally, I think it benefits both corporates and the banks because it reduces exception handling on both sides. So it'll reduce the amount of time that it takes from both a corporate perspective as well as the bank to trace payments and figure out where they actually are throughout the transaction lifecycle. I think the area of my organization that's going to benefit the most from GPI would be, number one, our day-to-day payment operations, our support teams. So those folks that are within the business or support areas that are looking after the payments to see where they are. So those are the people that are working with the banks to actually trace them when there are issues. So I think it'll reduce the exception handling there. In addition to that, I think our cash desk and our liquidity teams will definitely benefit from GPI because we'll have the defined SLAs. We'll know how long it takes a payment to reach from point A to point B so that we can optimize liquidity.
IATA is the International Transport Association. We are the Airlines Trade Association. And since a long time ago, at the time that we hear about the SWIFT GPI, the benefits at that time is where we have been really involved and engaged with SWIFT in order just to make it happen and to help them for rolling out the SWIFT GPI technology. The introduction of the tracking capabilities is going to be obviously a game changer in the banking industry, especially because the main reason is because it's going to bring transparency to the banking sector. At the end of the day, the pain points that the corporates are facing with the cross-border transactions is in many occasions you are not able to identify or to track the payments. In some occasions, there are even some kind of correspondent banks that they are charging some kind of fees. And when the beneficiary is receiving, that creates many issues in terms of reconciliation. So transparency is going to be critical or crucial in order just to solve and to fix all these kind of pain points that the corporates are facing. Why banks should basically incorporate this technology in their services or in their portfolio? I believe that I will summarize in two main reasons. First, from a customer point of view, that is something that is not going to be an option for the banks basically to incorporate this SWIFT technology. I mean, part of my time right now is I'm talking about SWIFT GPI in the airline industry. And at the time that you are explaining and you are talking about SWIFT GPI technology and the benefits, basically the reaction from the audience is, I want this. So why banks are going to implement this? Because that is going to be requested. It's going to be a demand from the customers that they are going to tell to their banks that they want their payment through or flag with SWIFT GPI. Then the second point is from a banking point of view, from a strategic point of view. You know that nowadays there are new players that they are trying to develop and they are implemented and even offering ways to move funds from one place to another faster, cheaper, safer. So the banking industry needs to react, and they need obviously to improve the value proposition of the traditional transactional services. The best way to improve this value proposition is SWIFT GPI. So why the banking industry needs to push and to try to accelerate this implementation is because if they want to survive just offering this kind of transactional services, they need to improve the value proposition. From a beneficiary perspective, SWIFT GPI will bring plenty of benefits. First, that is going to make your payments, your cross-border payments faster at the time that obviously you have transparency in the network. That is going to give you the chance just to push. And keep in mind that the SWIFT GPI rulebook is just pushing for the funds or for the payments acceleration. Then cheaper, and that is something that the cross-border transactions in some occasions are expensive because even there are some kind of correspondent banks just charging some fees, so it's going to give you the possibility to negotiate this kind of fees. And then it's important, it's going to give you the chance to have the end-to-end payment tracking. That is going to impact positively the exception handling. In some occasions, keep in mind that you are doing a payment or receiving a payment in order just to close a deal. And the deal is not closed until you receive or you make the payment. And there are some situations that these kind of deals are delayed because the payment has not been performed or not received. So that is going to solve many of these kind of commercial disputes or discrepancies from a payment point of view.